Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Monday, June 4th, 21st day of Sivan. Here we go. More laws about holiness and things that you should and shouldn't do at the Kotel Hamaravi, at the Western Wall, because of the holiness of the place. Okay, so the area that people call the Kotel Plaza, you know, that big paved square area that's in front of the Kotel, it's at least as holy as a shul, that whole area. So you should treat it as such, and it's not really appropriate to be fooling around, being lightheaded, schmoozing, and all that stuff. It is as holy as a shul, and some of those things that I just mentioned are not allowed in a shul either, if you didn't know that. So please do be careful when you're in the Kotel Plaza area. Now, secondly, the Kotel itself is considered holy, and it is incumbent upon us to give great kavod to the actual Kotel Hamaravi, to the Western Wall. It's a mitzvah to honor it properly, and that's not an exaggeration. When you're right at the area of the Kotel, right up close to it, certainly no idle speech. You shouldn't be talking on your cell phone. You should not be smoking. You should not be doing anything immodest. And unfortunately, people are not careful about this, but you should be if you're hearing this. Be in a very dignified manner when you're in front of the Kotel. Now, putting your fingers into the cracks in the Kotel, that's a very big question. Some people say no, that you're not allowed to do that because it's like you're entering, kinda, sort of, into the area of the Beis Hamikdash, of where the temple stood. The Chazon Ish didn't even walk within 4 amos, within 4 cubits. That's about 8 feet. He didn't even walk within 8 feet of the Kotel. That's what some do. There are others. You can see a discussion on this in the Tzitz Eliezer. He brings a lot of people who permit it, touching the Kotel and things like that. So the Tzitz Eliezer allows it. I do a lot of my work here from a book called Halachically Speaking by Rav David Leibowitz. And Rav David Leibowitz says that the custom is that most people allow touching the Kotel, and having your finger end up in a crack in the Kotel would be okay. That's the prevailing custom. Many people, place notes into the Kotel. That is a good thing to do. This is my own personal opinion that I'm just telling you. I don't think I'm wrong on this. Make certain that the notes that, if you're making a prayer to God and you're putting a note in the Kotel, make sure that it's important stuff. Like if you're a teenager listening to this, don't ask for a new bike, or don't ask God to get your parents to get you a car. That's not the kind of stuff you talk about in a note in the Kotel. That's you speaking directly to God, and it should be holy things, asking for your life to be filled with fear of heaven and health and happiness for your family and proper adherence to a Jewish way of life. Your children and your grandchildren all growing up in a good, observant way. Of course, praying for the rebuilding of the third temple. Those are the kinds of things that should be in your discussion with God and your notes into the Kotel. Please don't ever make it light. That's just so inappropriate. And lastly, I don't know if you know this, but notes do fall out of the Kotel. Some people say they even clean them out every once in a while. Well, those notes, there's a big discussion amongst the rabbis as to whether they should be burned or buried. So please don't treat notes in the Kotel lightly. I would just suggest, I think, if you find a note that fell out of one of the cracks of the Kotel, maybe just put it back in and leave it like that. But don't read them. They're private. That's personal. But they are holy. They are holy, and if a bunch of them are just about to be swept into the garbage, it would be best to ask a rabbi and say, I have some notes here that fell out of the Kotel. Some rabbis would suggest burning them. Some rabbis would suggest burying them. I bet you if you discuss it with rabbis, you'll hear other opinions too. But please don't treat any of this lightly. It is a very holy location. Thanks for logging on, and log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.